Artists should have the resources they need to do the work that runs through their veins. And with the gathering of resources, we will one day abolish the phrase starving artist. Day and night, the movement does not cease, for creativity never sleeps. We are Artist Uprising.
When did you fall in love with music?
I was raised around music. My dad is a pastor.
Okay.
My granddad is a pastor. My great granddad, he wasn't a pastor, but just keep it going.
Right.
But I was raised in church, so I heard music a lot, and my parents, of course, having a church, they're concerned with what's happening musically. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it became a bit of a family affair. So my aunt and my sister, and so when I was growing up, I have a big sister, and so when she was old enough, she would start to sing in church and play and everything, So there was always music in the house. And so just naturally, I was interested because of that, By the time I was 12, I realized that I might be able to sing, I wasn't really sure, but I was singing along.
But tell me this, though. What was that singular moment? What was that one song that hit you where you were just like, oh, whoa, what? I know for me, it was Michael Jackson's Human Nature. That was for me. And then New Edition's Cool It Now.
All right. Then.
What was yours?
Bro, I don't know about a specific song, but a specific group was Boyz II Men.
Okay.
Like when I listened to them sing, I was like, what is this? And
first album or the second album?
The first album. Well, when Motown Philly came out, I listened to Criss Cross and Belle Biv DeVoe, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I kind of was like, that's sort of the same, that's like the same team, basically.
The same team, the same players, everyone around it. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Michael Bivins or something that did?
Michael Bivins was behind it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I heard Motown Philly, I loved it, and, everything that they did, I just thought it was amazing. And I was always trying to I remember when I was listening to their song, Let It Snow. Remember that one, the Christmas album?
With Brian McKnight.
Yep. And that run at the beginning that Brian McKnight or whoever it is does it. I was stopping the tape and rewinding it and trying to do it.
That was Wanye. That did that.
It was. But that run, man. But yeah, I was pretty obsessed with them, bro. I loved them.
I heard you mention Criss Cross, though. Did you ever rock the overalls backwards?
I didn't rock but I did try to rock the baseball jersey backwards, my Braves jersey. I did, try to do that, but I think I probably switched it by midday at school,
There's a photo out there somewhere, my brother and I both with our overalls backwards with neckties because we wanted to do the Criss Cross and Boyz II Men.
Yeah.
Nuts, man. But
I bet y'all were dope though.
I mean, maybe we thought we were, but we probably weren't. I've heard you say this before, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard you say your dream is to write music that helps inspire people.
Of course, yeah. I love to inspire people, man.
You currently feel like, as far as what you're doing now, that you feel like you're in that lane, like you're doing it right now?
Yeah, I feel like, well, first of all, music itself is just inspiring.
Yeah.
In general. So it doesn't, as of late, a lot of the music that I've been making has been really focused on TV and film, right? Commercials and ads and stuff like that. So it has a certain energy to it. It has a certain vibe to it. And, that inspires people differently. I get messages from people who are like trainers and stuff, like people from Peloton or whoever who have used a song for something, and they're like, this song really gets me up and going. That's a different type of inspiration that I've, was ever expecting to get.
But you've learned to acclimate yourself to be like, if this is the kind of song I got to write, then I'm going to do something like that to it.
Man, I love variety, man. I love variety. So it's like, if this is the vibe and creative, I call them fences, creative fences. I like to know why I'm writing a song. It really helps me to move forward if I have some rules or some boundaries, you know, for my creativity. Because when you sit down, if I sit down at, you know, in the studio and and it's time to write, and it's like, you can write anything you want to write, you know, there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to geek out and do something that I might not be able to use commercially, you know?
What do you do at that point with that you're not able to? Like, what happens to that?
Well, I'll save it, you know, title it something that I really like, you know, and whenever I have another one of those moments where I want to go back to, you know, that vibe, I'll go back to it. And sometimes it's been salvageable. It's been something I can really build on and create. And other times it's been like, you know, stays on the hard drive. You know what I mean? Like, right. But still, I like to work anyways, even if I'm, you know, those times are really great for experimentation, you know?
So what brought about cause I know you'd been in LA for a minute. What brought the move to Nashville?
The move to Nashville was after my wife and actually during the pandemic, right? Before the pandemic, I was running around LA just working with producers and writing songs for different projects, for, you know, for artists or TV, whatever it would be, right? And so I was in a certain kind of a flow. And then when the pandemic hit, of course, we were locked down from day one. You know, they were like, all right, everybody's staying home. Yeah. And at that point, we knew we needed to pivot, you know, so my wife and I talked and we invested in our home studio. Before that, I would record vocals here and there, and I had a good setup for that, you know?
Right.
But after that, I realized, hey, if you want to have output, you need to be able to make the tracks. You need to be able to create and then figure out a way to collaborate with your producers, you know, through email, whatever it would be, you know? And so because of that, I got way better at producing and making tracks and starting songs than I ever anticipated I would, and at a speed I never thought I would.
Because you were having to work with other people before for that. And now with the lockdown and everything, you're kind of forced to kind of relearn or learn how to do this on your own then. Yep.
And so through the help of some really good friends who are great producers, you know, we would get online and, you know, I would screen share with them and they would help me get certain templates and figure out things and shortcuts. And so because I had some really good friends who helped me, who I could call anytime, who would help me and give me feedback. It kind of was lightning fast for me to be able to. Took a lot of hours though, dude. But I would have never taken the time to do it because to me, it would have been more like, it's your hobby, man. You know, you got to take care of your family, get out there and do stuff that you can keep, you know?
Yeah.
So, but because of the pandemic, man, I had to learn it. And I'm so glad I did. And I wish I did it 10 years ago, dude.
Just because of now where you're at with what you're doing, right?
Yep. So basically to answer your question, that put us in a place where it was like, hey, we can actually be anywhere because our relationships changed with all those producers and with the companies we're working with. It became a different conversation. It wasn't just Ryan going and writing and that's the only way you can create something. It became, we can kind of do it from anywhere.
How did you get to that point though, where you got into writing music, like, you know, just off the bat, like what got you to LA to start writing music?
Well, I was in a publishing deal and kind of a development deal here in like when I was living in Dallas, I got it. And then I moved to Nashville for about 6 or 7 months and was working with the company here and made a trip to LA. And the whole goal at that time was to do an artist project, you know, to write, to kind of go after songs, to figure out what we wanted to do. And whenever I went out to LA, I met my wife now, you know, Nikki.
Yes.
And it turned in from being maybe 3-week trip to, you know, me just living there, me coming back here, you know. And so when I moved to LA, my wife was already really doing a lot, right? She's an unbelievable singer, unbelievable songwriter. Yes, like she's already successful, you know,
right.
Like that Glee plaque back there, that's her, you know. But like,
how did you guys meet?
Well, we met through this guy that she sang with, actually on Glee, and he was a friend of mine. I had known him for like about 10 years, and he was just kind of the go-between. He's like, you know, you need to see this guy, you know, like check him out. So she shows him he shows her my Instagram, and he kind of connects the dots. So by the time that I got to go to LA to meet her, when I met her, man, we fell in love like quick, bro.
Amazing.
And that it was like, all right, I can't go back. I can't leave you here, man. I gotta be out here, you know, with you.
Yeah.
And it took a couple of years to get the right traction, to create the right, you know, and through the right friendships. But because of like getting a good direction and through some really good people, I got connected to some really talented folks, man. I got connected to a producer named Sean Hamilton. He's also known as Black Monday. He's amazing. And Sean and I started writing, and then Sean moved his thing to Rodney Jerkin's studio.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden I'm working with, you know, in Rodney's studio.
Darkchild.
Yeah. Working with Darkchild studio in the studio, and we're working on Empire all of a sudden, and we're writing for the show, and artists are coming through, and it became like a place where we would write 3 or 4 songs a day, you know, and we would go morning to night, people coming through constantly. And I developed as a songwriter in that scenario, writing with those guys all the time, man. That's where I really.
So it wasn't like you weren't writing for you were writing for like other people. And like through that, you felt like you got better because of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was at the time, it was like, let's just create, you know. I wrote songs that were going to be for me that I ended up giving to other people. You know, one of the songs that I wrote around that time that ended up going to one of Rodney's artists is called Saved. And I wrote that song, and one of Rodney's artists, Jack Ross, one of the best singers I've ever heard in my life, ended up doing it. And Jack took it where I couldn't ever taken it. You know, Jack took it to like, we were on, Will Smith had a documentary, you know, it's but it has a documentary called on Netflix called Amend.
Yeah.
And we ended up being a part of that campaign there with that song. Like, and so to see it be a part of something that important was like, wow, man, you know, that really resonated. And
how long has that song been floating around before it like been picked up?
A couple of years, man. I had it for a few years. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Like how that stuff works, man?
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. I wrote a song back in, I put it out in 2020 with a company here. And I was actually having a songwrite the day before yesterday. And I was complaining to the producer. I was like, this certain company's sleeping on this song, certain company, we ain't gonna say, but I'm like, they're sleeping on this song. It's killer. Listen. And, you know, and then the next day I get like an email, like, can you send the stems? You know, we got a placement for it. I was like,
What was your first like song that got placed? Do you remember like which was that one song that you were like, yo, song got placed? Because I know those moments for like some friends that have had that happen, it's game changer.
Man, whenever I started, so I have this, I have a project that, and like I have an artist name called Louis 2, right?
Yes, I know that, man. You first posted and I was like, what is going on? I was like, he rebranded himself. He's going by Louis. But the music is amazing, man.
Thanks, brother. Thank you, man. That was like,
I didn't know. So is that just like music for that project is like stuff you'll pitch out to like other, just artists or just, movies, films, anything like that?
Yeah, that stuff will go for like, it goes to like, Louis has been all over the world, man. Like Louis did like, I had like the opening to the Olympics, like the entire song, one of them was the opening Olympics. Like we've had Nike commercials, we've had so I can't even name them all, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like my primary thing as far as work goes, but I mean, I got like it's always in football games, it's always on commercials, it's always, it's all over the place. They do a really great job at pitching that stuff, man. But like Louis was my biggest ones. I got TV stuff. I got the stuff on Empire. I got, like just different TV shows and stuff. But my first like ad, like commercial things and stuff like that was through Louis. And whenever, they call you and tell you what kind of money you're making, that makes you pretty happy, because
that's that mailbox money.
Bro, I've been a poor songwriter for a minute. So it took, you know what I mean? So like whenever you see something that's like real money. Like you gonna put that in my account?
It's coming monthly or just whenever it's Yeah, residual.
Everyone's like different companies are different, but usually it's like usually it's quarterly how I get paid out, you know. And I don't even know usually what all I got until they say, "Hey, here comes, you know, like here's what we're gonna pay you." I don't know, but then I get a list, of course.
Oh man, did you?
It's wild.
Was there a point though, like when you went to LA, like where you were going in this project, where's a development deal, and you were thinking about you as an artist, like this is about me, and then having to kind of not relinquish, but then pivot and be like, I'm a songwriter now, and this is what I do. What was that dynamic like? Like, was it one of those things where you kind of like, it was tough on the ego, but you know, you're just like, I know this is like, this is a different move, and it's going to be even bigger than what you expected.
Well, I always wanted to be a part of other people's projects, you know, because I've always listened to I've listened to like a lot of different music and been inspired to write, like a lot of different music. And I knew that I couldn't put out all that, right? It wouldn't make sense for me to be that, you know, person to put all that out. Like, I mean, if it's there's certain genres that I just don't need to mess with, but I could write for, you know?
Right.
And so doing that was always part of the plan. But, you know, to be honest with you, the death of the artist dream, you know, that's a dream that I die still today sometimes, bro. You know, like I like, there's a part of me that's like, man, it'll be fun to be able to make this kind of a thing or that kind of a thing. And I'd love to break this way or that way. Right. But, you know, is that going to make me happy? I have different, you know, conversations with myself or, you know, about it now. Like, well, what would make you happy about it? You know, what would it be? Is it touring? Do you want to be on the road all the time? Because if you're on the road all the time, then you're not at home. You know, you love being with your wife, you love being with your daughter, you know, and, you know, I've come to the understanding that if I was going to be an artist, it would need to be something that's like, I was in control of. I was in control of how long I was gone. But there's a certain point that you get to with that where you kind of can't control it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you gotta serve that. I hope I'm not getting off base with it, but just to let you know, yeah. So the artist thing, like letting that go, I have to let that go a good bit, you know. And there's a part of me sometimes it's like, what if you found a niche this way or that way, you know? Because I love playing shows, I love singing live, you know, and I've gotten some really great opportunities to do things and you know live that are great, but you know, it's still an ongoing thing for me, man. Just honestly, but I never want to make it weird. I'm always like, I don't want it to be weird, man. I want it to be cool.
It's not weird. It's not cool, man. I mean, it is cool. But I was going to say though, too, like as a songwriter, just because, you know, we've kind of like talked about this, what would you say, or can you give us a glimpse into like what your process is as a songwriter now?
Okay. My process is make the time, right? Make the time to write. Make the schedule. Like for us, it would be like, you know, from whatever days of the week it is that we're going to be working. If we're in town or, you know, we do different types of jobs, right? Like, because we're singers for, like we sing for TV shows and that kind of stuff, just as singers as well.
Yeah.
So depending on what that schedule is, because, you know, when they set that, that's pretty solid. I'll schedule everything else around that unless I have a songwriter that's already in place. But I'm working with another artist and producer where I'm going to write. And otherwise I'm making time to do it. So it'll be like, all right, from this point to this point, I'm going to be writing today. And as a songwriter, I try to find out like, okay, well, like what project am I working on first? You know, like what's the project and what's the direction? And then try to keep those parameters right. And then I'll start making stuff through either it's like a voice note. I got a bajillion voice notes on my phone.
Yeah.
So I record those constantly. I'm always writing down, like if I get a phrase or an idea, there's notes in my phone for those because I'm always doing that. And then otherwise I'll sit down and I'll start listening to samples. I'll start listening to drum sounds and I'll start playing chords or whatever it is. And then from that point, you know, the song kind of writes itself. You know what I mean? You know, you get a goal of what you want it to look like, or you dream it in your head first. And then of course it comes out into, you know, into the, into reality always a little different than you originally planned it,
But I mean, do you feel like it takes like another level of energy to be able to create something with the goal of, say, like inspiring others? Or is that, would you say something that's naturally in you?
It would be like, because music, it just does that, and I want to be inspired while I'm making it, right?
Yeah.
So like when I'm making stuff, I'm looking for what moves me when I'm making it, right? And if it's moving me, it's a good chance that it can move other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally
yes.
makes sense.
So I'm looking to be moved. I'm not like, no matter what it is, I want something that's going to make me, make me vibe. And if it does that, then it's a good chance that other people are going to like it.
Now, do you have a sounding board when it comes to something like that? Are you taking it to the wife and like, yo, I got this thing here. Tell me what you think. Like, is she your go-to when it comes to like, check this out, this hook, this melody?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. It's like, it's a luxury to have somebody in the house that knows what they're talking about. Right. So I can be like, yo, check this out, babe. She's been hearing it a lot of the day, like from up here. Mm-hmm. Some of it, but then I'll play it down for her and she's been my biggest encourager, man. Like, really pushes me and really encourages me. And it's always fun to have a song to play to be able to play something for somebody and you have that sounding board, be like, does this suck or is this dope? What is this,
Is it the same vice versa though, too, as well?
For sure. Yeah, I'll come home and she'll have written something that's like stupid brilliant. And she's all like, is it good? I'm like, yes, it's really good. Every time she writes something, when I come home and she's written something, it's always great. And, she's just
in a lot of ways, that's got to be inspiring too. Because if anything, you guys are pushing each other. Absolutely.
And it's really like Nikki always inspires me with her honesty, right? When I write, I usually write out of a character.
Yeah.
Like I get an idea. This one thing I really like about, Louis not really me. He's just a figment of my imagination.
Right.
Right. So, some stuff, but of course it is me writing the lyrics, but when I'm, saying something like, like I'm the best or check me out, look at this, watch what I do. That's, me, Larry, I'm not about to talk like that.
That's you.
But for the sake of an ad, like I'll make the music because it's fun, but it's like you get to be able to, get that alter ego or whatever. And that's the
best part about creating like another thing outside of like who you are.
Exactly. Bowie did it, like it's a fun thing to do and actors do it all the time. And, and as a vocalist as well, you have to learn how to be a bit of an actor to do different types of jobs,
Would you say Louis is kind of like you reinventing yourself?
Yeah, it would be like if I was super like, really excited about me and everything about me.
You have to be your biggest fan when it comes to stuff like this. Yeah.
You do. Yeah. Like I totally like, it's like some of the stuff is totally like outlandish, and then, but part of it is my sense of humor. It's my sense of humor because I'll rap as Louis and I'm not
no.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be in the rap game, but
it sounds great though.
But I'll lay a verse down and I'll make it funny and I'll make things, and it's really, Louis really about people coming together. And I'm definitely about people coming together. I'm finding solid and, and common ground and also about like, dreaming big and that kind of stuff. And, so a lot of that, really is me, it really is. So, but it's a way to experiment and it's a way to express yourself, that I otherwise wouldn't have,
Well,
so
you've been talking about Nikki, the family and whatnot. I understand like it's really like something that is important to you, pushes you. I want to take it back a little bit to 2016.
All right, then.
The Edgar Family Band. Mm-hmm. You competed on America's Got Talent, and you were like a fan favorite. You were featured. You were favorites of the show. I would love to know what that experience was like and how that all came about.
Man, okay. So our experience with reality TV, right? Like, we've been in music for a minute. So we've all I did, American Idol and my wife's done those things. We, and living in California, living in Los Angeles, you end up knowing a lot of people who have been on those shows, and you end up meeting people who work on those shows. And we ended up having a friend who's a producer on the show, and he's been asking my wife like for years to be on the show. Right. And she was like, well, I got something for you. I got this thing like where me and my husband and my daughter, we all sing together, the Edgar family band, and he's like, really? Well, send me something. So we sent him the, like a video of us singing. He's like, when can you come to the audition in Burbank? Can you come do it? And so my wife's got quite a story already, like television is a few different things, right? One is going to be your talent. It's going to be, what you bring to the table that moves people. And then also your story.
Yes.
Where you come from, what do you have to say? And Nikki has quite a story, and our family is a bit of a miracle, so the way that it's all, that we all came together, and like, so when we went in, we had the song, like Jaslyn, our daughter, she's 21 now. She can sing her face off, bro. She's amazing, and she's killing it right now. And so the three of us put some stuff together and went to the audition, and man, it just kept moving forward, just kept going forward, just kept going. And for a lot of people, like, they fly to LA, they're like, oh, we're on the show. So they put you up the Lowe's in Hollywood, and like, you're at the show, and, it's all like, you're from like wherever, right? You're in Hollywood, live TV. It's like, constantly.
Yeah.
For us, we lived, 8 minutes from the Dolby Theater. So we'd be like on TV live, and then like 45 minutes later, we're home, we're leaving the babysitter ordering Thai food, like.
Yeah.
Like,
but you'd also already been through it though before.
Yeah.
So you kind of had an idea of like what it was like then.
Right. Yeah. We knew it was going to, like, you never know what's going to happen. So we held it super, super loose, and it was a lot of fun though, bro. And, like, people, a lot of your friends and a lot of people you've known like your whole life end up reaching out to you because it's different. Like, I've been putting out music for years, right? But, and so is my wife, of course. But when you're on TV and you're on primetime television and you basically walk into people's living rooms, they all reach out to you. It's a kind of a different thing. My parents went crazy. They loved it,
Did your numbers in social media like go crazy too?
Yeah, our numbers went up, and we did great on socials, and Nikki did the best. Jaslyn did, then I did the third. You know what I mean? I'm just like, but we did good on socials, and we also, something really great that happened with the show is because of that, you get, invites to come do things, a lot of corporate functions, and people would see corporate as maybe like you're going to some office building or something to sing, and no, you're like going to like, arenas. These are big corporations that have you come sing and do things. So we got to do some really great events, bro. Like, and some really great jobs that came out of it. But we didn't continue doing it. We had a really good setup for it, but my wife got sick not long after that, and she had to go through some health things. And, when that happened, it was like we kind of slowed down,
right,
and we decided to pivot, in life anyway. So, yeah.
Oh man. And are you still, as far as like, I know you were leading in church and whatnot, are you still doing that as well? Like with the move now to Nashville?
I haven't been, the last time, like, I led a couple of months ago at a church in Shreveport, and I love doing that, man. Because, it's what I grew up doing.
Yeah.
And it's something that, like, I feel like whenever I do that, like, a lot of people don't know what it's like to walk into church and hear music and be a part of that. But the people who do know that, like, it's important to walk in and not feel weird.
Yeah, for real.
And I always feel like my job when I do that is to make it not weird. Like, you really think about what you're doing.
You want to make everyone feel comfortable.
Yeah, man. Like, and so I really love to do that. And, I've made music for that as well. Like, it's something I'm super passionate about. And, because I love to encourage people in that way as well. I've seen, like, worship music and, inspirational music. I've seen it change people's lives, man. Be a real element to help you know, to be a part of, to help catapult the change, or, you know, and I've had experience in life when I've felt a certain way about things, and, you know, been listening to music that was made in church, and what it did for me and how it changed the direction I was going emotionally, you know what I mean? And kind of shifted my soul into a different space.
Yeah, man.
It's powerful and I love it. So, but yeah, I'll do that. Like I've got a few things coming up in the next couple of months, you know, but right now we're kind of settling.
Can you talk about that, or is it kind of top secret?
Oh no, it's not the top secret. I still love to write, and like, I'm probably, you know, it's a possibility I'm going to do some more. Like I did an EP on this, you know, under my name, that came out last year, and we had a single that was on radio, and it did pretty good on radio. And we've been talking about it and considering doing another one, because I feel like that contribution is important as well. I didn't contribute to that space for a really long time. I kept it simple. I'm like, I go to church or I'll sing in church, but this is what I write, you know? But I feel like, you know, being me in every space I go is important. So
do you feel like, you know, like, because in this world of like in music, you know how this is, especially coming from like a development deal, you've got people that are trying to mold you into this person or into this sound and to this lane and to this look. Do you feel like as you've gotten older and the experiences that you've been through over the years, that you're finally in a space where you're like, like, this is me 100 and this is how I move and that's it?
Yeah. I mean, you know, like at this point in time, because I floss super hard, nobody tries to tell me how to dress. So
well, we can tell by those pants.
I'm just playing with you.
I was going to ask you, where did you get those pants in that photo? Those are really dope.
Those pants are from Wasteland in Studio City, man.
Okay.
Yep.
Was it a stylist that found that, or are those yours?
Nah, man, that was me. It's your father that did it. So I'm laughing. I'm being so stupid. Like, no, but I don't really. Just so listeners know, I'm just joking. I'm not seriously into myself.
He is 110% serious, you guys. You should see our text message exchange over the years.
But nobody really tries to tell me where to like how to look. It's more like, what do you want? And so the more important thing at this point isn't like I don't really hit the wall of people trying to tell me how to look. It's more, what do you want? Like, hey, have something to say. Like, if you're going to do a photo shoot, like either you make the choice on what you want to do and have a strong direction, or somebody else is going to make choices for you. You know what I mean? So it depends on what you're doing. Like, and I'll always, if I'm working with another company, like, here's my vision, you know? And a lot of times I've just been like really fortunate enough to where they're like, dope, let's go with it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to change it. They're not trying to they want to pull out all they can of what I'm trying to do, you know? Right. So yeah. I've been fortunate in that way, man.
Well, I know we took it back a little bit, like to 2016, but I want to take it back just a little bit further.
All right.
You and Nikki used to host, I don't know, like if it was just Nikki, host this, it was like a showcase on Sundays at the W Hotel in LA, because I know you tried to get me to come out to it. And it was like one of these things where musicians and stuff would come out, you know, and just like perform. I have to tell this story because you're on here. So I have to know this story myself, because I've only seen the video that you posted and like 1 million people liked it. But there's this video out there of this showcase that you guys show. It's like on a Sunday evening, right? It was Sundays, right?
Yeah. Yep. Sunday night.
And, you know, you have everyone come up and play. You invite people to come up and sing, right? It was almost like an open mic, but not open mic.
Right. Yeah. We would. Okay. So first of all, Nikki was the host. Yeah. So Nikki's the host of the show. Yeah. And I inherited the thing with her, of course, because I mean, we got married and like, so of course I'm there. And she was just killing it, man. Like when I got there, the show was just like, you know, between 8 and 1,800 people every Sunday, and at the W in Hollywood.
I remember you told me about it, but even before you told me, other people were telling me about this.
It was the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the night, man. And everybody came through. There would be, movie stars came through it, like pop singers, like people from like, before I got there, she had already sang with Stevie Wonder on stage there. Stevie had already come through. Like there was a grip of people, man, Dennis Rodman, all these different people would come. Like it was just wild. Like now Dennis Rodman ain't an artist, but
he came through.
And like, and it was really great because when, those celebrities come through, they make it like you get a lot of press on that stuff. You know what I mean?
The show was, you know what I'm talking about though, right?
Oh, when Prince came, is that the one?
What's his name came and played on the guitar?
Oh, Prince. Yeah, when Prince showed up.
How does that happen, man? How does Prince show up?
Okay, so like the format of the show is that Nikki would book the artists, right?
Right.
Like it was always artists. It wasn't like open mic. It was always planned, So we would book out artists and she would book out the artists and then they'd come through, and sing and stuff and just be a part of the whole night. And it was great because it'd be great for exposure. And it's also a really, really fun night, period, But it always seemed like with that show that when celebrities came or artists would come, they would come and not like, they'd come and listen first. They'd be like, and hang out. And so it was pretty common for someone to be there. And then by there was like a halftime of the show. There'd be like a 15-minute break and then a second half. But by that halftime, it was so like turnt in there that most people can't help themselves. They're like, let me up there. It was just felt like that. Like, or everybody would play it cool and then be like, nah, I'm good. And then, but by that time, they're like, yeah, let them know I want to do this song or that song, So it was pretty common that would happen. But this one night, we heard that like Prince, like we just got wind from from Ryan Cross, the MD that was there. He's like, yeah, Prince might be coming tonight. We're like, who invited Prince? All right, dope. Well, we'll see, if he comes. And so during the show, we see him walk in and they had him like a table and stuff. And like, when he walks in, and if I was with you, I'd do the impression. It was the greatest thing ever. Be like, oh my God, there he goes. There goes Prince. Like he's here. He's at the show. That's Prince.
Wow.
That's Prince at the show, And so he walks in, he doesn't sit at the table that we had set up for him. He just kind of disappears. And we're like, oh man, like, we're like, did he not like it? Was he not feeling the vibe of the night? Is this not where Prince wants to chill tonight? Is Prince trying to go to somewhere else?
Right.
And so we didn't see him like for probably 45 minutes to an hour. Like I thought he was gone. And then on the second half, I was singing A Little Help from My Friends, and while I was singing A Little Help from My Friends, all of a sudden I see his little afro coming through the crowd, walks through the crowd of people and walks up on stage. And we're just like, oh my, what's he doing? He goes and gets the guitar, from our guitar player and starts doing a solo. Like, and it was just like, man, you're witnessing like something way bigger than you when that happens. Cause
it's a moment.
Dude, and from the crowd, the energy from the crowd, like one thing about that crowd there at the W was always like, they were real honest, like you got to be honest on stage, like if you get up and try to be something that you're not, it's so easy to see there for some reason. It seemed like,
Yeah.
And they loved real moments. And when the real moments happened, they were really invested, and dude, it was like the energy in the room was insane when he got up there to play. It was like, I'll never forget it, man. It was amazing.
Well, I just remember it being shared, man. And I know, like, rest in peace, Prince, the legend, man.
The legend.
Speaking of legends, living or past, I got a few questions for you. Living or past, who would be your dream collaborator and why?
My dream collaborator.
Yeah.
This has changed a lot in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say my dream collaborator it's Kanye West, man. I love Kanye West, dude.
Why? Tell me why Kanye.
Man, like my dream collaborator, because he's such a great, like such a big dreamer and such a fearless dreamer over something. And the way that he believes in himself and the way that he believes in the stuff that he's doing is really unbelievable, you know? And of course, like the music that he has made is like, you know, man, All the Lights, Can't Tell Me Nothing. Like those are some, like those songs, like they were just a part of my life at a time when I was like really digging in, man. And like, there was a time I wrote like the vision of an entire EP listening to 808s and Heartbreak. You know what I mean? Like on repeat, like just the whole like thing. So he's been a part of my creative process in that way, you know, for a long time. So I think that, yeah, Kanye West is probably my ultimate collaboration friend, you know, but
I can see it, man. I can see it.
Right on, man.
For real. I can see it, man. I can see it.
Well, I hope that it would be everything I would want it to be.
I bet you it would, though. I bet you it would, man. I mean, the thing I like about him is just like how he's been able to kind of navigate through the years is like music has changed. And I mean, like in that sense, you know, you've been doing music for a long time, so you understand just how, you know, the landscape in itself, music has changed like so drastically. We get a lot of people, our viewers and listeners, some are, you know, aspiring artists that are trying to figure out what to do or how to get started. I mean, if you could, man, I mean, what advice would you give to them as far as them trying to like find their space in this world, like in the realest way possible?
You know, there's two things. One is like, you know, being true to you, get inspired, and like, what inspires you? You know, what are you reading? What are you know, reading is really important, and learning about like learning about creativity and different parts of it is going to be a really important piece of it. And, you know, a way to do that is going to be through reading. It's going to be through what you're watching, how you're being inspired, and how you're spending your time, and being definite, but like not being hard on yourself as you're in the creative process, and staying really humble in it. Right. And knowing that like life, I like to say that life moves at the speed of relationships. So a friend of mine, Jeremiah, told me that, I'll never forget it, but meaning is like how you treat the people you're with, you know, it's kind of how fast you get to move along. You know what I mean? The people that you meet are really important. And as you're on the creative journey and you're doing that, know that how you treat those around you could really directly affect how fast you move forward. I have a short story about this. There's a guy who screwed me over in music, right?
Right.
And first, you know, like, first of all, don't be scared to share as you're moving. If somebody calls you, like a producer, and they're like, yo, I want to put your song out, I want to do this, and, you know, I need a piece of your publishing, and you're nobody and you haven't done anything yet, you know, consider sharing because it's worth it. Yeah. You know, don't let them take all of it, you know, but consider sharing, and know that sharing is important as you move forward, you know?
Right.
But I had a guy who, you know, who took from a lot of people. And he at the time was, I'm trying not to be super specific, you know what I mean? But at the time, this person did a lot of people wrong in business, and he did me wrong as well. However, I didn't shun the guy. A lot of people did, you know, and there was a good reason to. But for some reason, I was like, I'm not going to shun the cat. I'm not going to work with them, right? But I'm going to be his friend still, you know? And because I didn't like write him off and stayed friends with him, he connected me a couple of years later with my friend Sean, who I ended up writing with, who ended up being the key to me getting everywhere that I've gotten.
Wow.
As far as creating music in a way that makes a living for me. Wow. If I'd have written that guy off and not forgiven him, you know, and treated him badly, I'd have never gotten to meet the people I met. And so it was kind of like through the door of like grace, forgiveness in that way toward that person, you know, being careful, of course, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So like while you're on the journey, you know, and as well, like, you know, like everyone is original. right? Everyone is original, but everything has been, there's not really nothing new under the sun. You know, so don't be scared to, like, don't just be like, I'm just going to be so different that all of a sudden no one gets it at all. Like, don't be scared to give people stuff that they can get first. Yeah. You know, get some ground. And then, like, you know, once you establish yourself, then try a bunch of new stuff and see what works, but don't hold anything. Just keep moving on, put your stuff out, promote it, push it, make new music, move on. You know, you got to fail a lot, man. You got to fail a lot to get where you're going. So that's a lot of advice.
No, man, I knew like having you on would be like so important as far as for, you know, our listeners, you know, because we get a lot of creatives, a lot of musicians too, that are just trying to like figure it out and they don't know how to do this. And I mean, like, this is like one of the reasons why that I'm so glad I got to have you on. So I just want to tell you personally, thank you. I'm grateful for you and, you know, grateful for our friendship and just thankful that you were able to just sit here for a few minutes and, you know, share your story with us. If our listeners want to reach out to you in some form or fashion, how can they find you on social media?
I am on, first of all, let me answer. I appreciate you, Larry, man. You're like the master creator, always reinventing, always moving forward, always energetic. I love you, dog. I appreciate you, man. So thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be a part of this. So, if you want to find me, just check, like, look me up on Instagram, the Ryan Edgar. Find me there. That's the best place to find me. So,
and what about Louis though? Louis,
everything Louis you can find through. So you can find Louis too. Like if you look up LOUIS and then II, go to Spotify, check that out. And also anything that Louis, you know, when I put out new Louis music, I always post it on my Ryan Edgar Instagram, you know, so I do what I want. You know what I mean?
You are in control. I love it, man. And I appreciate you. I will honestly be in touch with you outside of this and stuff, but yeah, brother. Thank you so much. And man, continued success on your journey, man. Love to you and the family as well, man.
Thank you, brother. You too, dog.
Stay tuned and explore the next Artist Uprising. Use #ArtistUprising to join the movement.